Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to my channel. Again, I'm Dr. Shafanya Turner, and I'm here to help you get ready for surgery, anesthesia, sedation. But I'm coming to talk to you from the vantage point of an anesthesiologist. So today we're going to change a little bit from talking about strictly the anesthesia surgery component of it. The most important person aside from you in getting you ready for this endeavor, this is your primary care provider. So whether it's a doctor, a pediatrician, a family doctor, an internal medicine doctor, or a nurse practitioner, that person along with you is the front lines into making sure that we have all the information we need as up to date as possible and your health concerns and conditions as managed as possible before you come in again to see me. This person you've probably known for a while, hopefully, if you have a primary care physician. So they've been in your family for a while. They've taken care of you, your husband, your mom, your dad. If they're a pediatrician, they've taken care of all your children. Nonetheless, they're a person that you've probably had access to a lot more than you have to your surgeon or your proceduralist. So that's why it's important to forge a really good, strong relationship with this person, because the two of you together are going to basically be the coach for this process. Get to know them and make sure that they have everything that they need so that they can communicate who you are to us. What we found is that in U.S. health spending, a good majority of the money we spend on healthcare is actually not on primary care. If you look at this chart here, we spend a lot of money on hospital visits. We spend a lot of money on medications, professional services. And so that includes surgery and diagnostic tests and things like that. We don't spend as much money on primary care. And what we found is that when there's better investment in primary care, there's lower healthcare costs. There's lower decrease in hospitalizations, decrease in visit to the emergency department. But the big one is that mortality decreases. You live or potentially live longer when you use your primary care provider. Get that relationship super strong before you have to come and see me, okay? We have to get you knowledgeable about who you are, and it's our job to create the diagnoses, to write the diagnosis and the prescriptions, and to follow the labs and understand what those labs mean. The story and the narrative of who you are as a person a lot of it should come from you. So here I have an example of something called a personal health history spreadsheet, and they have them all over the place. There are hundreds of them on the internet when I was looking for one to show. But basically it's like a journal of who you are as far as your health history is concerned. So when you come into the hospital to the surgery or what have you, you don't have to remember all the dates and all the things that have happened and which side something was done on and which eye has a cataract, all your allergies and what reaction you had to this weird drug that you took 20 years ago. It's all right there. You just hand this piece of paper over, or your family member does in the event that you can't speak for yourself. So this is one of those things I think you really need to doing if you haven't done already, is create a personal health journal or a personal health spreadsheet in a place that you can find that's password protected, because it is very personal information, so that we can get this information quickly and as accurately as possible. And accuracy improves outcomes and your health, right? So use that. Number 2, trust in healthcare is a really important thing, especially in the Black community. We have a long history of reasons to not trust the healthcare institution here in this country. The way we get past that is, number 1, looking for providers that look like us. And I am not advocating to not have a healthcare provider that doesn't look like you. If they're white or if they're Asian, they're not going to care for you. That's not it at all. But if trust is an issue, the way that you're going to improve your trust for a lot of us is talking to someone who looks like you, who you believes can empathize with your vantage point, with your concerns. And again, someone that you're going to actually talk to and use. There's no point in having a provider and you don't talk to them and you don't give them the full story. Finding a healthcare provider that you trust promotes honesty. You don't withhold information. Can't tell you how many patients I've had to kind of strangle out of them, and not strangle, but get out of them that they smoke marijuana. They drink a case of beer a couple, 3 times a week. But that information is important in helping me create a plan for you and how I'm going to take care of your anesthesia. And if you're not honest about it, you don't trust me, then that could create problems for both of us, right? But the other thing that having a trusting relationship with your healthcare provider does is it improves adherence to recommendations. So the medications, the physical therapy, the exercise regimen, you're more likely to follow through on those if you trust your healthcare provider. Last couple of things that I want to talk about. Healthcare policy is created from outcomes that are seen and outcomes that are spoken. Okay, and they create research questions to new modalities, new medications, new procedures, what have you. But also they send out surveys and questionnaires to patients, just like when you buy something on Amazon. They want to know, did you like what they sent you? If you don't tell how you feel, you will have no say in the policies that are created. And what's been found is that the respondents to most surveys, women, most likely, they're usually white. Healthcare policies that are created for white women. If you are not a white woman, not to say that all, information and recommendations that are created will not apply to you, but there will be lots of questions, healthcare concerns and issues that may not be tackled or seen as important because you haven't talked about it. So fill out the surveys, fill out the questionnaires, fill out the reviews. And the last piece of advice or information I want to give you is to bring it all back to anesthesia, because that's how I want to close this out. You want to make sure that your surgeon or your proceduralist, when I say proceduralist, I mean like if you're having an endoscopy or a colonoscopy, your GI doctor is a proceduralist, but that they have a good communication bridge with your primary care physician. So when you have this procedure with your surgeon, they have recommendations on how to, rehabilitation and follow up and care for wounds and things like that, and they're going to give that information to you when you leave the hospital, and it should be that they forward that information as well to your primary care physician. So make sure that there's a good communication bridge between those two providers. Okay, what we found is that when patients are either having high risk surgery or they have chronic medical conditions, if they follow up with their primary care physician, they're less likely to be readmitted into the hospital. So that means less time away from your family, less money spent on taking care of whatever is wrong. And then you're also exposed to all these things in the hospital, exposed to hospital-acquired infections, medical errors, and things that can happen in the hospital. So we're trying to keep you out of the hospital. Get your procedure done or whatever have you. Go home and get better. Keep yourself out of the hospital by getting a primary care physician. They should know who you are as well as you do, if not maybe a little better, and have the information kind of in a depot where everyone can get to it. And your information and history is all over town. There should be one safe space where all of that information is stored, and that should be with your primary care physician. So the take-home points for today's talk. Number 1, bring and know your own health history, your past and your present. Know your team. So your primary care team is not just your doctor. When you go check in, there's a nurse there. There's a receptionist. There's a nursing assistant. Probably go to the pharmacy, and you may get to know your pharmacist well. There's social workers involved in your care. Get to know your team. They are a team to take care of you. Know who all those people are, or at least know how to get to them. And lastly, make sure that your primary care physician and your surgeon or proceduralist know each other or have a way of communicating. Make sure there's continuity in how we take care of you. Okay, so we'll see you on the next talk. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Check out the Facebook page because I put lots of new information up there that doesn't come up on the videos. And subscribe and share. Thanks, guys.